Welcome to the Start Global Insights, the podcast for businesses looking to expand globally. On this show, we interview experts from different countries to get insights about local business culture and help you to enter new global markets.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Today we will talk about Swedish market and Sweden, and today our guest is Johan Gustafsson. I hope I pronounced your name in the correct way.
Much better than I would pronounce it in Ukrainian. Yes, indeed.
I don't know how to introduce you because you have so many roles in your life, but mainly, maybe for today conversation, is that you are quite experienced in going abroad. I would say you are the expert for the international expansion, including the Swedish companies. Yeah, but as you are from Sweden and you know the Swedish business quite well, I would say that you are also a founder and CEO of many Swedish companies, and you are sitting in the boards of Swedish companies in many directions. You quite good know not only the international market from the Swedish perspective, yeah, but also how to make business with Sweden. But please, maybe a few words about yourself, your story. How would you introduce yourself in this case?
Well, my background is very easy to explain. Actually, it's I started out as an artist, a portrait painter and 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 landscape painter. But then I went into the military and quickly became, something of a legend within the military and had many missions abroad. And I speak also Russian, even though today it's not my favorite language. No, я говорю по-русски. But also, I've been since I went out of the military and was pensioned because of my age. I went into the business environment and started a couple of industries. Among a few of them are leading in the world today. It's a bed manufacturer. It's a ramp manufacturer for disabled people, and it's also a chemical factory for doing coating on concrete floors. So I guess pretty much successful, but I also ditch a couple. As all entrepreneurs, you learn the most from ditching. Once I went into a media company, and we were supposed to produce just positive media, happy stories. And we went up the shit creek knee deep, and nothing sold. So I guess people don't want happy stories; they want ugly stories. And I'm not in the game of ugly stories, so I keep the happy stories. But instead of writing about them, I do them.
Yeah, this is maybe more about know your client. Yeah, so your client, you may think that client wants to have a happy story, but in fact he needs another one. That's the biggest mistake, I believe, of all startups and all businesses, not to know the client itself. So today, one of the purpose of our conversation is to a little bit understand the client in general as a Swedish company. Yes, we are mostly talking about the B2B business, how to make business between the companies. Though, in fact, even if you are doing business between the companies, you are still doing business with people.
I totally agree, and that goes especially for Sweden, I would say, and Scandinavia. It's all about relations, much more than actually in other countries. In other countries, we talk about corruption and friendship corruption, and I would say that Sweden is the most corrupted country of them all. Because friendship is everything. So I guess when we are sitting on our high horses looking down at people, this is not true because we are doing exactly the same, but with a different touch and a different flavor. We do corruption with Queen's English, and we do it very polite and very nice, smiling, and it has nothing to do with money, but it has to do with friendship. So, that said, relations, yes, indeed, my friend. Yes, it is all about relations here.
So the networking is very important. If you are thinking about entering Swedish market, you should think very much about how to make it or establish this new network within this country?
I totally, yes, totally. And what you typically should do is actually to start with building a network that could be profitable for your business. That could be plowing your business and be ambassadors for your business. And instead of hiring people and getting your facilities here and get into a business hotel, and oh yes, we have all the Wi-Fi, and but you guys already know that. So this is not what you need. What you need is to establish your business channels. What are the communication channels for your business here in Sweden and in I would say all Scandinavia? It's all the same. And what people are you going to work with? Are you going to have a channel through resellers, or are you going to have a channel through agents, or what have you? uh, I would suggest don't bother with agents. They will fuck you at the end of the day. Truly. So go for resellers and reselling, value adding reselling partners that you really can trust and really are into the business, already have all the nets up and running, and can actually give you a flying start into the Scandinavian market.
So you would suggest to find a proper partner, the local proper partner, not selling it once to the end client. Yeah, so not like establishing own office, own shop, but more to use the network for that.
When you have the first 10 customers, then you have a proof of concept, and then you can move forward and maybe put something up, local representation. If it's a reseller or if it's you yourself, doesn't matter, but you need to be present. Once you have 10 customers, you're an entity in Sweden and in Norway and in Scandinavia. I've seen so many trying to move into Scandinavia, Norway and Sweden and Denmark and Finland, and mostly American companies. They come here with a flag waving and put down, and they do an office and they do everything, but it never takes off because they don't understand the Swedish way of doing business. It's not John Wayne. We are not about results immediately. Quarters, show me the figures. But this is not Sweden. Sweden is about what is the customer satisfaction. How can we build a long-term relationship with our customers? So it's totally different from America. So people who come here and think they can behave like Americans, they are going to ditch the shit.
So Sweden is almost everything in Sweden is about the long term. Yeah, so long term thinking, long term strategy, long term communication, long term relation.
I think so. I agree to that, and I agree to that. Become trustworthy is major. You need to be, somebody who's there and there for your customer, and have warranties for your customers and have services for your customers. So what you need to do typically in Sweden is to surround your core business with a lot of different supporting services. Standalone, they are nothing, but as long as they provide help for the customers and also add to more selling of your core business, it's good. IKEA is a perfect example of this. They, crazy enough, they have a restaurant. They have, a kindergarten. They have free parking place. They have IKEA family card. They have a lot of shit surrounding flat packages. But the core business is flat packages that is, taken by the customers from the shelves in the storage and brought back home in order to make the man in the family to feel like a man. They have a clear strategy. If you know things about IKEA, maybe they are the biggest restaurant industry in the world. In Shanghai, people call into the IKEA store and book tables to have a dinner. on Sunday. Yeah,
Coming back to networking, yeah, how to start this networking for companies that just entering the market?
it's very hard to do it like cold. You need referrals. You need people to guide you and take you by the hand and shelter you a little in the beginning. You need somebody to hold their hands over your head, and keep you out of trouble. And that goes for Sweden as well as US as well as every market I know. What made me successful is that I always had friends, who were able to help me out. And my secret, and I can share that with you, it's no problem. My secret is Israel. My secret is Tel Aviv. Wherever I would like to go, I first go to Tel Aviv. And in Tel Aviv, I will always find somebody who is connected to somebody who is connected to somebody who knows the president.
Good, good. Coming back to cold cold contacts or the places where to contact the exhibitions, like physical exhibitions. Do they still work in Sweden? Is it possible to make connections at these places?
Exhibitions, definitely, but you have to be clear about what kind of exhibition you are going to participate in. And also be clear about how you are communicating your brand proposal. I mean, if you come to Sweden or Norway or Finland with a proposal that is adding to the business environment, this is nothing that we have ourselves. This is nothing something new, and this is something that we do not get threatened, and we will embrace it directly. It's going to go very quickly. If you come as a competitor, what you're going to do then is typically you're going to educate your competition. So um, when you are at the exhibit, the guys who is going to visit your booth are typically the competitors, and they are going to look for weak spots and how you communicate and what you're doing. And so never underestimate Swedes. They are also kind of butt ugly when it comes to down to fighting, but they don't fight the way you are used to. They fight a sneaky way, and they're going to small talk you behind your back and blah blah blah, and there you go, no business.
So to understand this innovation, yeah, or peculiarities first, how you will to differentiate from others at the market, and then go there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, and also listen to the curses on the market. What do Sweden have? What kind of curses do we have in Sweden? That is unique for Sweden, and what kind of curses do they have in Norway that are unique for Norway? Listen to them. Put your ear to the rail and listen. What's happening? What are people yelling about, and what are they angry about, and address that.
Yeah, so this is kind of looking for jobs to be done. Yeah, so what is lacking by the client? What do they need now? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, you need to have some sort of commercial intelligence before you move ahead. You need to understand the ground. Uh, don't put your boot on the ground until you understand it.
So the business intelligence should be done before any movement, yeah, or any steps or investments into the sales in Sweden as well. So
Totally, totally, and but it should be done by people in Ukraine that actually understand Sweden, and being here, and it should not be done by Swedes, because Swedes are not going to understand the needs of the Ukrainian companies. So they are going to deliver, massive, interesting work, but you don't have time for that shit. You need to get down to exactly what you need to have in order to do business.
how do you investigate if you do business in Sweden? Yeah, how do you investigate the market usually for your businesses? You hire some local marketing agency, or you have open source information that you can study?
No, I have. It's a three-step story. What I do first is to look at what kind of intel questions do I have. What sources could answer these questions, what channels are the best to put these questions through, and how do I do it without stirring up some water, so people understand that I am moving ahead, because I want to fly under the radar. I don't want to be detected before I hit the ground. And so it's more or less like a military operation, but even so, it's not a military operation. It's done more with care about the customers than hate against the enemy. So it's a different drivers, same game, different drivers.
What about the so we were talking about the long term everything, yeah, in Sweden.
Yeah.
While I've been studying in Sweden by the Swedish Institute, and like more than 10 years ago, I've been at the host company Vattenfall, and this is the
Mm.
energy company, and they got at the shelf there was a book like Vattenfall strategy, and that was in 2009, and they had this book with the title the Vattenfall strategy 2050 50. That blown my mind at that time. So how can what company or people think what will happen in 40 years? Is it still so in Sweden that you should be such a long term thinking, or it changed a bit with the change in environment?
No, it's still that way. We try to predict what is going to happen, and not to follow, but to create a new market. This is the difference. In America, you try to follow the market. You try to be second mover on the wave. We are not the second movers. We are creating the wave. In order to create the wave, you need to be looking very, very long forward in time. What is this going to achieve, create? What kind of needs is it going to create? I mean, if you look at IKEA, created somewhere during the 40s. If you look at ABB, created somewhere along the 1800s, and Ericsson the same. I mean, we are experts in doing huge global corporations for long term. When it comes to startup, well, Israel is beating us. Israel is the startup nation of the world, but we are, the building nation of the world. So if you want to build something sustainable for long term and in a long run, if you are not so hungry for profit immediately, then you should do it the Swedish way. And the Swedish way is very long term. We are like the Chinese. This is also why Swedish, enterprises are so well liked in Japan and in China, because we have the same way of reasoning.
Talking about this long-term mindset, does it influence on pace of making business? Are you slow in decision making, or like I know this tradition of Swedish boards to agree with everybody within the board until you are not agreed, and then you don't take a decision. How it will influence the newcomers? So if you are like you said about American expectation about the sales right away, it is the same in Ukraine, for example. Yeah. So if a commercial director says to the salesperson, "Go and bring me the money," it should be very quick. We cannot wait for a year. But I think and I feel doing business with Swedes, it won't work with Sweden. So you should plan much more time for that.
You are definitely very correct on this spot. I would say that Swedes are, if you have seen Lord of the Rings,
Sure.
The trees that moves very
Hmm.
slowly.
Hmm.
They're called ants. And Swedes and Estonians and Finnish, we are ants. We are standing there in a circle and we are humming and brumming and bow, bow, bow. And then we make a decision and slowly move away. But once we decided, Isengard is teared apart.
Exactly because of that, the proper preparation and understanding of the situation is much more important than in more quick decision making markets, because this is a long term investment. Yeah, so you should be investing
It is.
in
It
negotiation
is.
and networking.
You are investing feelings. You are investing in friendship. You are investing in creating relations. I mean, look at you and me. We known each other for how about 15 years or something.
Well, close to that, yeah.
Yeah, and without that, I would never be sitting here. Yeah, well, I would never sit here. So this is proof in the pudding. Normally, it doesn't take 14 years to get in connection with people, but I mean, we have a long-term relation, and I know you, and I followed you for many years, and you followed me, and we know each other because we met. You are a physical person for me, and I trust you, and I believe you, and I also trust in what you want to create. And this is extremely important. This is also why I can talk so freely and not maneuvering and not diplomatic and hiding. Typically for Sweden is to be diplomats. So I'm not typical Swede. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a
I
half
agree.
breed.
Yeah.
I'm half Estonian and half Swedish.
You remember how I splitted the perception of Swedes in my head? Yeah, two types. One
Definitely.
is a royal blood diplomat, and the second is Viking. So you
Yeah.
are more close to the second type.
Yes, I would say I am. So yeah, I'm the Viking style.
Talking about that, by the way, many things while I was helping companies to go to Scandinavian markets, including Sweden, we met different distributors, for example, yeah, that wanted to sell or resell the products at the local markets. And in most cases, we met people that were very polite, saying that, well, we will think about that. Yeah. So they were not saying no. Yes, they were not saying like we're not interested in cooperation with you or your product is ugly. How to read this or how to learn how to read this politeness, whether it is worth to wait for the answer or this politeness was kind of a no, but in a polite way.
Yeah, sometimes it is actually a way for Swedish companies to stall, and make you, in a polite way, tell you to fuck off. You're not in our league, and we don't want you, to be honest, but we can't tell you that. So instead, we say, well, this is very interesting, very smart. Let us think about it. I will bring it to the board. By the way, the next board meeting is by December next year. And there you go. It's a checkmate.
How would you advise to act in this way? Forget about them or to still.
I would cut through that, and to be honest, sometimes being a little bit blunt but a little bit more direct is the best way to do it. Because what you don't want is a long process where you don't know what's happening. You want a decision that is made, no, we don't want you, or yes, this is very interesting. We are going to get back to you this and this and this way by the latest. So, what you should force them to do is to uh, get them into the corner where they tell you how they are going to get back to you and when they are going to get back to you and with what decision they are going to get back. But this is something that you're losing as a foreign company because you're so happy to get in contact with a Swedish company. So you are waving your tail, and this is typically what you should not do.
Would it be okay to ask them directly? Well, I did that several times. Like I said that I know that it is your culture. I know that you are not maybe you are not feeling very good to say me no, but I'm okay with that. Could you save our time and say directly what you are thinking about the product and potential cooperation?
Yeah, yeah. I think that is a good
Mm.
approach that is going to be appreciated by most Swedes, and definitely by Swedes that are, experienced in dealing with business internationally. So I guess, yeah, it's a good approach.
Okay. Again, coming back to the network, yeah. So as far as I understood, for now, the main there are two main things that you should know before going to Sweden. One, it will take a lot of time, so you should be prepared to for the long term investment. And the second is networking. Yeah. So you should be networked as much as
Yeah,
possible, or have somebody that will introduce you to somebody that will introduce you to somebody. How a good idea it is to use official business. Communities for that, like associations or chambers of commerce or this type of organization.
chambers of commerce are impotent organizations consisting of people who want to pat their self on the shoulder and talk about themselves and give medal to themselves. So I would say no. Business Sweden could be a way in. Your own trade commission, Ukraine Trade Commission, could be a way in. I most definitely believe that they are working hard and doing everything they can to promote your business. What they need is to build, like I said, a better network around themselves. So, but once they establish that, I think they could be, of tremendous help.
What about the business association for like for construction, for example, or the furniture business association in Sweden?
Then I think would be the best to go through a person like me who is connected to the furniture construction business.
How to find you in Sweden? How to find people like you? Where do you go to for fika, for conversation, for networking?
Oh, it's a really good question because it comes natural for me, being me and being here all my life. Sweden is very small. I would say you have some, depending on what you are going to do. Are you within IT or within production or, fashion? There are different hubs in Sweden that you should talk. So if you're in production, you should talk to the county of Småland and the county of Dalarna. These are the two places where everything happens when it comes to production. Are you into energy or into environmental protection? You should talk to the north and the south. So it's about directing your efforts correctly.
That was actually my next question. Is there a difference where to enter in Sweden? Yeah, I'm taking into yeah.
Oh, definitely, depending on what you are,
Hmm.
and never go to Stockholm.
Hmm. That's it's funny. Everybody are going to capital first. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, never do that. It's that is a perfect way to really, really get your concept unknown and not accepted, and a lot of enemies. Normally when you go abroad, I mean, you and I, when we go abroad, we go down to a small village in Spain or in Italy, where we are a little bit, peculiar persons, and people like us and they want to talk to us and they, want to establish contact, and yeah, and we are happy and funny and, wearing our nice hats, and this is exactly what you need to do. You need to go to the places where people are going to love you. So, for example, if you're in production, you would go to Småland, and you're going to be perceived as something adding to the community, and a likable guy and somebody that you are looking up to. In fashion, well, I would go to Helsingborg, not to Malmö, not to Stockholm. I would go to Helsingborg. because they know they are a little bit behind, but they love fashion and love design, and a lot of design people live there. So yeah.
That's a very interesting. I totally agree with that, but I never thought about that in that way. So yeah, it's good idea to find a proper place to start with. Yeah, so when you won't be competing that much. By the way, how good is the idea to make business with government in Sweden? Like if you are going to the county, yeah, so you should be able to supply to the government as well.
You're talking to the wrong person here, because I hate the government. So
Well, I would, if somebody would ask before the war, would you be making business with the Ukrainian government? I would say I would rather not, because it is too complicated with too many possibilities to end up with some investigations of corruption or something like that. I hope that it will change now, but how it is in Sweden?
no, but I mean, this is not the case in Sweden. If the journey is long, in order to get a business network in Sweden, the journey is triple as long to get into the public service and help them out with something, because they have such regulations and such extensive books of rules to and also if you do a proposal, it becomes public in Sweden. So once you send in your proposal and your figures and how you calculate your business, everybody in Sweden can read it. And since everybody in Sweden can read it, China can read it as well. Not a good idea.
Mhm. Clear. Thank you. We're running out of time, I think, but I would like to talk because to my opinion, you are a master of negotiation, and I would like to talk about the negotiation in Sweden or the common approaches, yeah, for that. And I assume you said that there might be a hidden agenda, yeah, but in some cases. But to my opinion, when I was talking to Swedes, it was quite transparent. So it was direct. So you could discuss everything like it is, not thinking in advance how to be so canny to get your agenda or to fight against your other party. So it was more like win-win or looking for a win-win opportunities between companies or negotiators. How would you describe that?
Well, to give you a picture, doing business in Russia, it's like peeling an onion. It's layer of layer of layer of layer of layer of layer of layer, with lies and lies and lies. In Sweden, it's a nut. You have to crack it. Once you cracked it, it's open. But and nothing is behind that. That's it.
Yeah.
But the shell is not so soft.
Hmm.
So you have to have a big fucking hammer, and the hammer is your network. And once you crack the nut, you're in.
So, wrapping up, the main two topics is and long-term thinking. Sweden is a very interesting market to enter. There are a lot of opportunities, especially if you have something different from the existing at the market. But you should really study that and understand what you should offer to your potential local partners. It is better to go with the partners into the market and be prepared that it will be long way. You should pack your backpack properly for that long way to go and
True.
build trust and network within the country, something like that.
And also, yeah, to add to that, easily is, sharpen your communication skills, because it's how you communicate your stuff that is going to make the difference. Not maybe that it's bloody different. It does not have to be, but just that you can communicate it and speak right into the heart of some segment that you picked out and targeted. This is the core of your business. So you have to figure out what is the unique segment that we are going to address and what is the unique value proposition. Once you've done that, easy to help you. I would say to all the Ukraine companies listening tonight, or this evening or tomorrow, do it the Ukrainian way. Do it your way. Do it blue and yellow, and be proud about it. This is a very good timing for Ukrainian companies to get into Sweden. Because you are immensely popular. Your president made a smash and hit on the internet with Sweden anyway. So I would say, to utilize this moment, this momentum operandi, to move forward and really get into Sweden, I would say yes, it's a good idea.
Thank you, Johan, for being with me at this show. Especially for me, that was extremely interesting. So I hope that we will proceed with that.
My pleasure. I'll be happy to help you. Take care.